There's so many problems with tennis coaching and the industry, the idea of being a quote unquote tennis professional. And I want to talk a little bit about that in this video. And this is part of the reason why it's part of the reason why I'll never, I shouldn't say never, but I want to say I'll never coach tennis again in this format. I never really did to begin with. I always did what I wanted to do. If you don't know, I was a tennis professional for a few years, and then several years after that, I had my own club. I did my own thing. I paid the bills, so I could do whatever I wanted, and that's part of the reason. That is part of the reason why. Actually, I could pretty much do whatever I wanted throughout my whole career. There never really was a point where someone was telling me what to do, and if they were telling me what to do, it didn't last very long. So that's something that you're going to get from my tennis that you're not going to get from somewhere else as well. This is actually really important. And when you're a tennis professional, there's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of pressure to teach, and there's many there. If you understand teaching, there's many different ways to teach. There's not any real right way. I do think that's true. However, I do think there are lots of different wrong ways, and I'd say most people are teaching leaning more. I don't think it's really like black and white, but they're leaning more towards the wrong way, and this is especially in tennis, and this is why I'm a big proponent of the what's called the discovery method. And by no means do I think I've mastered the discovery method. It's extremely hard to implement, especially when you're working as a professional tennis coach, as a full-time tennis coach. And the reason is people just don't get the discovery method. Here's the thing: you come out on the court, and these players are parents, etc. Players are paying sometimes $100 or more dollars an hour. This is not even for like famous coaches, just regular coaches. But for sure, this could be any sport really, paying $60-$70 per hour. So you've already, and even if you have a lot of money, you still feel like, wow, this is a lot of money that I'm dropping for an hour. And that the intention is I need to get something out of this. I need to consciously get something that I can write on paper. And what tends to happen is you will get what you can get from a book, from a free book at the library. And a lot of times that's good enough for people. And they don't really understand that either. It's like you literally could get the information that was just dropped on you for free at a library. So it's kind of like a contradiction there. You're spending all this money, you want to see some result, and you want to see it fast. And this is not good for, which I'm going to get into, this is not good for getting good at tennis or getting good at anything. So you got this kid, or even if you're an adult, you go in this lesson, the guy, you have this hour, you come in, he starts talking about this and talking about that. It's information overload. You're working on, let's just simplify this. You're working on the serve. Okay, you got something, you're working on it, and see, this idea of working on, and is just absolutely wrong to begin with. But you're doing that, and then you go out the next day and you play with your friend, and you're playing tennis, and things aren't working out. And automatically you're going back to your lesson. You're like, what do I have to do? And it just gets worse and worse and worse. And what tends to happen is these people, they're not even playing matches anyway, so it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter, because if they're playing a match, they've already lost. It's already over. And it's this cycle. Then they go back to this. They go back to their tennis lesson. They go back to their coach. Well, I did this and that, and then they work on it some more, and they work on it some more, and it never really gets going in the right direction. And the thing is, most of these people never actually play tennis to begin with. They're always practicing, so it doesn't really. So this whole conversation is irrelevant really to them. They won't even watch this video. So let's bring it back here. What should coaches be doing when they're on a tennis court, rather than coming out having this pressure to give information? Well, they should be putting the player should be put in a situation. And here's the thing, I talk a lot about environment and stuff like that. A lot of these lessons are being conducted in perfect environments. Let's say you're coming out and you want to practice something. Okay, so you put the player in a situation. You got let's say you want to work more on the forehand side. So you come out, you serve, and then you practice the next forehand, the first forehand that you hit. And you could come out and just have like some targets, some intention. You could come out and the whole lesson's amazing. Nothing goes wrong. You're just absolutely perfect. And this can happen. And literally the coach can absolutely say nothing. This can never, but here's the thing, this can never happen in a professional setting because the viewers will not understand what they're paying for, and they'll question that. The viewers, meaning the colleagues are involved in this. The directors involved in this sometimes. The parents definitely are involved in this, and then the player could be involved in this. The player might even say, "Well, I came out and I did everything perfect, and the coach didn't say anything. So why am I even here?" All these things that can be going through the minds of these people, and this is not good for the coach's paycheck because they really are not going to come back. That's the thing; they're not going to come back, or they're going to be less likely to come back. I'm not going to get into the whole psychology of it, but that's what's occurring. And if you don't think so, just do some analyzing for yourself. You might say, well, what is the solution? Well, like I said, my solution is to stay the hell away from all of this. If you're not mentally prepared to deal with this, if you're actually a real player, and I'm not going to get into it all in this video. I'll get into more as my channel goes along. Obviously, I'm going to get into more of this, but like take, for example, double faults. Who cares about double faults? The solution is to ignore the double fault. It's not to focus on the double fault. You're never going to stop double faulting. So you go into the lesson, you're double faulting. Why am I double faulting, etc. And then you go play and maybe you're double faulting some more, and you're like, why am I double faulting? You go back to the coach. You don't do that. You don't do that at all. You focus on the task. You focus on what you want to do. You practice training yourself to focus on what you're trying to do and not on what's wrong. And that's the kind of stuff I'm going to get into, and why the tennis coach, the way things are, is never going to do that unless it's maybe in like a team format or team setting or something like that. But just certain things like that these are the things that you want to do, and that the tennis teaching just inherently goes against that. Because the truth is, and I'll leave you with this, the truth is I don't care how good you get at tennis. I don't care if you're number one in the world. You're never going to stop making mistakes in tennis. Never. It's never going to happen. And you can look at this and say, well, that's being negative. No, it's just objectively true. It's objectively true. The number one player in the world, the best tennis players in the world, still make mistakes on a daily basis. So why are you constantly trying to correct something that's never going to go away?